Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me. As always, Summer Scouting Series continues with the 2026 initial tight end rankings and scouting reports. If you missed the first episode of Summer Scouting, please go back to the previous episode where I shared my top 16 running back rankings for the 2026 NFL Draft, detailed scouting reports on all 16 of those running backs, a detailed watch list as well, giving you 30 to 40 names you need to be familiar with from the running back class for this upcoming college football season and then the 2026 NFL Draft. Today, we turn our attention to the tight end class. I have 14 tight ends that I've watched in depth. I'm going to give you my rankings where they initially are right now and my scouting reports on those 14 tight ends. Remember, these are just initial rankings. So much will change during the year, which is why to have the premium notebooks for the 2026 ones, the ones that will launch in a couple weeks around Labor Day, those are the notebooks you want to get your hands on if you're looking for the 2026 stuff. These are just initial rankings. A lot will change during the year and in the pre-draft months. Obviously, these are just my first thoughts, first rankings during the year, after the year, constantly updating the scouting reports, the rankings in real time. So you have access to all that in the premium notebooks. Initial thoughts on this tight end class. It is not what we just saw last year where we had Colston Loveland, we had Tyler Warren as clear-cut round one guys. We had Mason Taylor as a borderline round one, round two. We had guys like Harold Fannin, Elijah Arroyo, Terrence Ferguson that were all looked at as day two talents. We had Gunnar Helm, who was looked at as a day two talent until his poor combine testing, but still went early on day three. We had other interesting prospects like Oronde Gatson, former wide receiver, converted to tight end. We had Thomas Fidone, who was once upon a time the number one high school tight end recruit ahead of Brock Bowers. So it was a very interesting tight end class. This class right now, I do not think has any round one caliber tight end prospects. I think there's maybe one that could emerge, but I'm not ready to call him a round one guy just yet. But we do have some interesting prospects who I think could warrant some day two consideration. I think some will end up going in day two, and then a bunch of guys that will definitely be in the mix in the round 4, round 5, and then obviously some guys that will kind of filter in the back end of the draft. Some of these guys won't declare. Some of them will go back to school. Some new names will emerge. Tight ends are starting to have more immediate success in the NFL because I think NFL teams are starting to get smarter about how they include them in the offense and focus on their strengths and their positive areas and don't ask them to do too much. If they're a pass catching weapon in college, teams are starting to be more smart about, okay, well, let's not try to force them to be a blocker in the NFL. That's not going to work. That's not a part of their DNA and what makes them. So I think teams are being smarter about it. There's more overlap, I think, in the pro game and the college game than ever before in terms of spreading the field, offensive philosophies, and offensive systems. And I think that is also aided in the quicker transition from the college game to the pro game that we've seen over the last couple of years. Sam Laporta's success, Brock Bowers' success. So I think there's more of a chance now for tight ends to quickly emerge and have significant roles and be significant parts of offenses than ever before, which makes evaluating these tight end prospects even more exciting because it used to be, it was always a very slow build that we sometimes had to wait years before we saw fantasy production, before we saw opportunity given to these players. And I just don't think that is the case anymore. So just like I did with the running back show, if you haven't watched it yet, I will share my rankings, in this case, 1 through 14. Then I will give my scouting reports in alphabetical order. So just make it a little bit easier. If people are looking for a certain guy, they can know where to kind of look in the podcast. And if I have a chance, I'll put some timestamps in there as well. But first, I'll share my rankings 1 through 14. Then I'll do the scouting reports, and the scouting reports will be alphabetical order. At the end of the show, I'll give my tight end watch list, a whole bunch of other names that should be on your radar at the tight end position as well. So my current initial 2026 tight end rankings start with number 1, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Number 2, Max Clare out of Ohio State. Number 3, Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Number 4, Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. Number 5, Justin Jolly out of NC State. Number 6, John Michael Gillenberg out of Wyoming. Number 7, Lawson Lucky out of Georgia. Number 8, Jack Andres out of Texas. Number 9, RJ Maryland out of SMU. Number 10, Tanner Koziol out of Houston. Number 11, Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Number 12, Oscar Delp out of Georgia. Number 13, Jack Velling out of Michigan State. And number 14, Miles Kittelman out of Tennessee. So those are my initial top 14 tight end rankings. I will now go through my scouting reports one by one, alphabetical order, strengths, functional areas, developmental areas, how they win, NFL role, current draft projection right now. So let's get started right at the top. Alphabetical order, as I talked about. My first prospect I'm going to talk about is Oscar Delp. He's number 12 in my tight end rankings as of this recording. He's the senior out of Georgia, 6'4", 250 pounds. Last year, he had 21 receptions for 248 yards and 4 touchdowns. Georgia used a very much tight end by committee last year. I'll talk about another one in a little bit with Lawson Lucky. Obviously, it's coming off the heels of Brock Bowers going into the NFL. Things that I like about Oscar Delp. Good size and frame, good athleticism, speed, movement skills, separation, quickness, and yak ability. He's got good length, catch radius, body control, and ball skills. He shows good hands and receiving capability. He can attack the seam and get vertical. Things that I want to see him improve upon. He's got to show more route refinement. He's got to play, even though he's up to 250, he's got to show better play strength and power to hold the point of attack, to be a functional blocker, and he's got to really improve that power in terms of his run blocking. Some areas where I think he's functional. I think he's a willing blocker. I think he gives good effort blocking. He's an average blocker in space, and he shows some average route running chops, but I like to see him refine it a little bit. Right now, I look at him as a guy who could develop into a depth to complementary number 2 or number 3 tight end that can play some inline as a wide tight end, but is best as a move or flex F tight end. I have a day 3 NFL draft projection right now. I'd probably say he's in that like round 5, round 6 range. Next up, let's take this to Jack Andres out of Texas. He is my number 8 ranked tight end at the moment. He's the junior out of Texas. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. Last year, very involved in the offense for a college tight end. 56 receptions, 623 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think Texas will get significantly better quarterback play with Arch Manning at the helm this year instead of Quinn Ewers. Things that I like about Andres: average size and frame only, but he's got above average to good athleticism, movement skills. Average speed, separation, quickness, and yak ability, but he's got great hands, shows really good body control to win contested catches and adjust to the football. Overall, he's got good receiving skills and receiving production. Some areas for him to show improvement upon. I think his blocking right now and his techniques blocking is very inconsistent. I think right now he struggles holding the point of attack, so you're not going to ask him to do a lot of inline blocking, especially run blocking at the moment. I do think there's some areas where right now he's functional in. His route running, his play strength, his catch radius, I would all classify as functional. To me, he's a complementary pass-catching tight end 2 that could develop into a starting move tight end at the next level. I have an early day 3 grade on him. So right now I'm looking at him as like a round 4, round 5 pick, very similar to where we saw guys like Gunnar Helm and Oronde Gatson this past year, Theo Johnson, and players like that in previous years. Next up, John Michael Gillenberg out of Wyoming. He's a senior. He's 6'5", 251 pounds. I would probably say he was the most, of all the tight end prospects I watched, he surprised me the most. I didn't know anything about him. And when I ended up watching him, I had him as my 6th ranked tight end at the moment. And I am really intrigued by his skill set. If he wasn't at Wyoming, I think he'd be getting a lot more attention and a lot more buzz. Last year, he had 30 receptions for 425 yards and 3 touchdowns. Things that I like about Gillenberg's game: he's got good size, frame is just about average, but he's got very good athleticism, movement skills, speed, burst, and straight line yak ability. He shows separation quickness in his route running. He's got good ball skills with the ability to high point and attack the seam vertically. Areas that I think are questionable: obviously, he's producing for Wyoming, so the level of competition is always something you have to at least acknowledge in terms of the defenders he's beating. His blocking and his blocking techniques are something that obviously needs improvement and development on. He does not show a lot of lateral movement in terms of like change of direction stuff. So I think he's more of that straight line burst acceleration yak type player. Inconsistent power and inconsistent hands, has some drop issues, are some areas that I would like to see him improve. I think he's a complementary pass catching tight end, best as a F or move tight end. But I do think if he develops, he's got some starter upside in terms of his traits and his overall athleticism. I have a round 3, round 4 grade on him right now. I think he's going to be a riser in this year's tight end class. I don't think you see him a lot in a lot of people's like top 6 or top 7s. If you see him on ranks, I think he's probably more closer to the 10 to 12 range. I'm a little bit, I think, ahead of the curve on him, but I am intrigued by his overall skill set, the athleticism he brings at the size and frame that he possesses. I think he's a guy who could really look impressive in the pre-draft process. So if he could put together a good statistical year and then dominate the pre-draft process, I think he's got a shot to be in that round 3, round 4 range in the 2026 NFL draft. Next up, let's take this to my number 5 ranked tight end, and that is Justin Jolly out of NC State. He is the 6'3", 250-pound tight end. So definitely, right off the bat, we're talking about his size at 6'3" is definitely something that is smaller than most NFL tight ends. That size impacts his blocking, the blocking techniques, holding the point of attack. You're not going to see a lot of power blocking. He gives effort. He could block in space a little bit, but in terms of holding the point of attack as an inline tight end, that is just not Justin Jolly's game. He can't be asked to do that. What he is, though, is an undersized pass-catching tight end. He does have a good frame for being undersized. He's got good athleticism, separation, quickness, speed, burst, movement skills, and yak ability. He's got really good ball skills and body control, shows the ability to adjust and win contested catches, even though he's only 6'3". I think his functional areas, route running, his length and catch radius, even though he's only 6'3", he shows a solid ability to extend and offer that catch radius and that length. And I do think his route running is pretty much average right now, but an area where he could even refine that a little bit. I look at him right now as his NFL role is to be a complementary pass catching tight end as a move or F tight end. I think he can be used. I don't look at him right now as a guy I think would definitively be a starter. I think he can get there. I have a round 3, round 4 grade on him. I think right now he's more of a complementary pass catching tight end. Think about a little bit, and I'm not saying they're similar players, but think about how Chig Okonkwo has not been a clear starting player for the Titans, but he's played plenty. I think that's kind of Justin Jolly's upside in terms of usage at the next level, in terms of snap percentage. That's what I think Justin Jolly could be utilized as a complementary piece, a part of a tight end duo at the next level. Next up, Miles Kitselman out of Tennessee. He's currently my 14th ranked tight end. He's the senior, 6'5", 259 pounds. Last year, he had 22 receptions for 301 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Volunteers. Things that I like about his game, he's got great size and frame. Athleticism and movement skills are just average, but he's got really good play strength, toughness, physicality. He uses it in his routes and to create space at the catch point to win contested catches. He's got great hands, good blocking skills and techniques. I would say average body control and ball skills with the ability to adjust. Some areas where I want to see maybe a little bit more. He doesn't have much route running chops to him. I'd like to see a little bit more there, a little bit more versatility to his route tree that he could run. I don't think we're going to ever see him to be much of a speed or burst type player. So I think we have to understand who he is and what he is. When I look at Kitselman, I look at him as a depth tight end 2/3 with the upside to maybe be a number 2 tight end, but probably start out as number 3. He's clearly an inline wide tight end. I think blocking is his best trait in terms of getting onto the football field, and then we'll see if he can add anything in terms of the pass game. Right now, I have him as a day 3 grade. I would say this type of player I would think is more of like a round 5 through round 7 type prospect at the moment. Next up, my number 2 ranked tight end, and that is Max Clare out of Ohio State. He's the junior. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. Last year, he had 51 receptions for 685 yards and 4 touchdowns. The size and the frame is just average at 6'4", 240, but he's got good athleticism, very fluid movement skills. He's got good speed, good short area quickness, separation ability, and route running chops. He's got good footwork with the ability to create space before the catch and pick up yards after the catch as well. I like the body control and ball skills, and he shows the ability to adjust. Obviously, he's in a loaded Ohio State offense. He's not going to be the focal point of an offense. So I don't think you can look at him and say, oh, he's not putting up these elite college numbers. He's not going to do that with the receivers that Ohio State has. But I do like what he offers to the table, things that I would like to really see him improve upon this year and potentially put himself in position to be tight end one if he does. The blocking, the technique blocking, holding the point of attack in the run game and showing more consistent power. If he could do even a little bit better in those, if he could keep his athleticism and his movement skills and maybe get up to 250 by the time he's, but in that pre-draft process at the combine and stuff, I think that would really do a lot for his overall draft stock. Functional areas, the frame, the size, the length, catch radius, and the hands, I would say are just all functional, but there's a lot to like about Claire's game. And if he shows some improvement in some of the blocking stuff and he could add about 8 to 10 pounds before the combine and stuff like that, I think he's got a real chance to be a round 2 pick. Definitely a day 2 pick, and I think he could put himself in position to potentially be tight end 1 at the next level. Right now, I look at him as a guy who's got starting pass catching, tight end ability in terms as a move tight end in that F role, and I have a day 2 grade on him right now. Obviously, that could be anywhere in round 2, round 3. If he shows a little bit more in blocking, I think he can push his way into a rock solid round 2 pick. Similar to how we saw Ferguson and Arroyo and Mason Taylor go. If the blocking continues to be very up and down and inconsistent, or he can't add more weight to that frame, then I think maybe we're talking about a round 3 prospect. Next up, Tanner Koziol out of Houston. He's the senior. He's 6'6", 251 pounds. Right now, he is my number 10 ranked tight end going into the college football season. Last year for Ball State, he had 94 receptions, 839 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He obviously was a focal point of that Ball State passing offense. He's got great size. The frame is just average at 6'6". He could definitely add a little bit more to the frame. He's got average to above average athleticism, movement skill, speed, separation, quickness, route running, and yak ability. He offers great length and catch radius. He has shown the ability to go up and get it and high point or extend to win contested catches. And I like the body control and ball skills. Areas that I'm interested to see, the jump up in competition from Ball State to Houston is my first thing. I want to see him be able to be as effective a pass catcher at the higher level. Second, a lot of inconsistencies in terms of his blocking techniques and his overall blocking ability. So I want to see that improve. Right now, I think he's adept to complementary pass catching tight end, but does at the size and frame he possesses, can line up in line at the Y spot, but I think he's best even at his size as a move tight end and more of that passing component than the blocking aspect. I have an early to mid day 3 grade on him. I think he's more of like a round 5 prospect right now. Next up, my number 7 ranked tight end, and that is Lawson Lucky out of Georgia. I already talked about one Georgia tight end, Oscar Delp, earlier. Now I'm talking about Lawson Lucky out of Georgia, the junior, 6'4", 240. So exact same measurements when I talked about Max Clare a little bit while ago. Last year in that dual tight end, even 3 tight ends at time that Georgia ran, he had 24 receptions for 348 yards and 3 touchdowns. So for Lucky, we're really trying to project out. He's not been a guy who's gotten a heavy volume or a heavy target look, but I think there's a lot more meat on the bones. And I kind of expect Lucky to seize the opportunity this year and kind of take control of that tight end depth chart and be the clear guy there. Average size and frame, but I think he's got good athleticism, movement skills, speed and burst to attack the seam and pick up yards after the catch. He's got good ball skills and body control, shows the ability to adjust. I think his receiving skills are good. I think he's got good route running and separation ability, things that we need to see improvement on if he wants to get out of that like round 3, round 4 grade and into a clear day 2 grade. For me, is the blocking right now is very inconsistent, very up and down in terms of the techniques blocking. Doesn't show a lot of power and play strength to hold the point of attack, especially in run blocking. Those are areas we need to see improvement. Right now, I have him as a complementary pass catching tight end, best as a move tight end, not asked to play in line too much right now with that round 3, round 4 draft grade that I was talking about. Next up, my number 9 tight end, and that is RJ Maryland out of SMU. Now, a lot of context needed here. He's a senior. He's 6'3", only 224 pounds. So he right now is very much a wide receiver body labeled as a tight end. Now, we saw Rondé Gatson, by the time he became draft eligible, get that number up to whatever he was, 240, 242. RJ Maryland, if he's going to be classified as tight end, needs to get that number up close to 240. Now, I don't know if he could do that and still keep the speed and movement that he plays with. If not, he's really just a big slot. So it's one of those things that we kind of got to see how things play out. But last year, he had 24 receptions, 359 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Obviously, the size and frame, if he's asked to play any aspect of tight end, is a concern. Play strength, blocking, technique blocking, holding the point of attack, all that stuff is not what you could ask RJ Maryland to do. If you ask him to do that, he's going to fail. What he does bring to the table is undersized, pass-catching tight end, good athleticism, speed, movement skills, burst, and yak ability. He shows good ball skills, the ability to adjust, extend, high point, and good body control to contort his body. He can win contested catches because the body control and ball skills. He's got good hands. He can attack vertically and get down the seam. To me, he's clearly a depth to complementary pass-catching tight end as an F or move tight end. But if he can't even gain 8 to 10 pounds or so, he's clearly going to have to be a big slot at the next level. If he can't get past that 225, 226, he's going to have to be a big slot. He's not going to be able to even be a move tight end at those numbers. He really needs to get it to that 236 to 240 if he's going to even be looked at as more of a tight end at the next level. Even if it's a move tight end, you still got to be a little bit bigger than where he is right now. I have a day 3 grade on him right now. So much to be determined, but I do like the ball skills. I do like the speed and athleticism, but can he maintain that if he adds 10 to 15 pounds? I think that's the question that I would love to see answered. I think we'll see him produce this year during the year, but I think for him, like Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, Combine, those are going to be really big for him to see where his measurements come out and then his testing numbers. He's going to have to weigh more, and he's going to have to show good testing numbers at that higher weight, I think, for him to be looked at as maybe like a round 4 to round 6 type prospect due to his pass catching ability. But I do like the pass catching ability that he does provide. Next up, my number 3 tight end, Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. He's a senior, 6'5", 252 pounds, good size and frame, above average to good athleticism, speed, and movement skills. He's got very good ball skills, body control, length, and catch radius with the ability to adjust and high point. He's average route runner and separation quickness, things that I'd like to see him improve upon and work on during this year to really solidify his status as a top 5 tight end in this class and a day 2 type pick. Some route refinement, expand the route tree a little bit, show a little bit more consistency in terms of his blocking techniques. If he can do that, I think we can really see him very similar to what I talked about, the Arroyos, the Harold Fannons, the Terrence Fergusons. He could be in that mold somewhere on day 2. I think he's a starting tight end capable of playing in line if he improves his blocking. If not, he could also line up as that F or move tight end and be effective there. I have a day 2 grade on him right now. To me, he's more round 3 right now than where we saw the guys go this year in round 2. But if he shows some improvement in some areas, I think he could work his way into somewhere in that mid to late round 2 range with a really strong year and a strong pre-draft process. Next up, my number 1 current tight end, it is Kenyon Sadiq of Oregon, the junior, 6'3", 245 pounds. So let's talk right about the concern about Sadiq's game. 6'3" is a small tight end prospect. 245, it's not terrible number. I'd like to see it more at 250. I think he can get it to 250 if that 245 is legitimate. Can't do anything about the 6'3", but the size is definitely something that's a concern. There's limitations on what you could ask him to do at 6'3". He's not going to hold the point of attack much. He doesn't play with a lot of power in terms of in line. But what he does, last year he had 24 receptions for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the stats are a little bit misleading. But what you need, but while he's undersized with only an average frame, I think at times he was the most explosive player on that Oregon offense last year. Very good athleticism, speed, movement skills, burst, and acceleration. Very good yak ability with the ability for a tight end to change directions, to show agility and balance in the open field. He's got good separation quickness out of his breaks. He can be used on manufactured touches in space. You can do end arounds. You can do jet sweeps. You can do touch passes. You can do a lot of different things to get the ball in Sadiq's hands, and he can be an impact on offense. That is why right now he's my number 1 tight end. He's an offensive weapon masquerading as a tight end, And if he could show a little bit more consistency in some tight end things and still offer that athleticism and that big playability and that offensive weapon prowess, I think you're talking about a guy who's going to intrigue teams somewhere on day 2. I would be surprised if he pushes his way into round 1. But it is a little bit of a down year, I think, in terms of overall playmakers. So I don't think it's inconceivable if he puts up a really good year and wows in the pre-draft process that a team could look at him as just an offensive weapon and maybe pull the trigger on him late in round 1. I have more of a day 2 grade on him, more of like a mid to late round 2. But some people do think he could push his way maybe to be in consideration to be a round 1 tight end prospect. I need to see a little bit more before I get there. But there is a lot of intrigue in what he can bring to an offense because he's very versatile, very multidimensional of a tight end prospect that you can use in a lot of different ways that I think could add a uniqueness to a tight end room. Next up, my number 4 tight end, Eli Sowers out of Vanderbilt. He's the senior. He's 6'4", 240. I feel like 6'4", 240, whether those are real numbers or that's what teams are listing or teams are giving out there. A lot of tight end prospects coming in at 6'4", 240. Last year for Vanderbilt, he had 30 receptions for 425 yards and 3 touchdowns. Things I like about his game. Average size and frame, but he's got good athleticism, movement skills, speed burst, acceleration, separation, quickness, and yak ability. He's got great hands, maybe the best hands of any tight end prospect right now. He's got good ball skills. He shows good length and catch radius and the body control to go up in high point and adjust to the football areas. Like a lot of prospects I've talked about, inconsistent blocking, inconsistent play strength, inconsistent power holding the point of attack, inconsistent technique. So all those things for me are holding him back a little bit, even though he's my number 4 tight end. To me right now, pass catching tight end, best as a move or F tight end. I have a round 3, round 4 grade where I have a bunch of guys this year and what they show. Can they add a little bit more to the frame and still maintain their speed, athleticism, and pass catching ability? Can they show improvements in the blocking ability? I think there will be more movement at the tight end from like number 3 through 10 than any other position as the season goes on and the pre-draft months. Because I think this is a very close-knit tight end group. I think a lot of them right now, I would have a late round 3 through like early round 5 grade on. And I think a lot can change during the season and the pre-draft process. And a lot will depend on who can improve upon some of these developmental areas or concerns that I currently see from these prospects. Next up, my number 11 tight end, Michael Trigg out of Baylor. He's a senior, 6'3", 250. Last year, he had 30 receptions for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. Average size, good solid frame. Athleticism, movement skills, and short area quickness and burst is just average. He looks like he might be a guy that struggles to separate at the next level. But he's got really good hands. He's got good body control and ball skills. He's shown the ability to adjust, extend, and high point for the football. I think the route running for college is just average in terms of his route run and separation quickness, which does concern me about then if it's only average now. How does it look when he gets to the next level? I look at him. I don't think he's an inline guy. So he's a depth to complementary pass catching tight end that I have a lot of athleticism concerns. I think he's got to be an F or move tight end, but it doesn't have those movement skills of some of the other guys I've talked about, which why for me, he's a little bit further down the rankings, doesn't offer much in the blocking right now or technique blocking. So that's an area for me that I struggle with, which is why I have him more as a day 3, round 5 or round 7 type prospect right now. Next up, last one, Jack Velling out of Michigan State, senior, 6'4", 248 pounds. He's my number 13 tight end right now going into the upcoming college football season. Last year, he had 36 receptions for 411 yards and 1 touchdowns. Average size and frame, like most of the guys I've been talking about tonight. Athleticism, similar to what I was just discussing. Average athleticism, movement skills, separation, quickness, and route running. He's got good ball skills and body control, shows the ability to create late space at the catch point and to adjust to the football. He's got good hands, can attack the seam, but I think he's best at finding soft spots versus zone. To me, I look at him as a depth tight end too that can line up in line or be a move tight end, but I do worry about the overall athleticism, speed, burst, for the tight end position. If he already is only average in college, I worry that can't really be a calling card of his when he gets to the next level. So I have some concerns there in terms of the overall speed and separation ability at the next level. Right now, similar to what I was just discussing about Michael Trigg, I have a day 3 grade on him somewhere in that round 5 to round 7 range. So there it is, guys. My top 14 tight end at the moment for the 2026 NFL draft. Just to run through it one more time before I give my watch list. Number 1 is Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Number 2 is Max Clare out of Ohio State. Number 3 is Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Number 4 is Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. Number 5 is Justin Jolly out of NC State. Number 6 is John Michael Gillenberg out of Wyoming. Number 7 is Lawson Lucky out of Georgia. Number 8 is Jack Endres out of Texas. Number 9 is RJ Maryland out of SMU. Number 10 is Tanner Koziel out of Houston. Number 11 is Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Number 12 is Oscar Delp out of Georgia. Number 13 is Jack Velling out of Michigan State. And number 14 is Miles Kitzelman out of Tennessee. Here is my watch list of another about 15 names or so, 16 names of guys that you should be paying attention to also who could emerge from the tight end class. First up, Tanner Arkin out of Illinois. Second, Terrence Carter Jr. out of Texas Tech, and this is just alphabetical order. Number 3 is Ethan Connor out of Troy. Number 4 is Josh Cuevas out of Alabama. Number 5 is Caleb Foria out of Delaware. Number 6 is Jeremiah Franklin out of Boston College. Next up is Luke Hayes out of Ole Miss. Matthew Hibner out of SMU. Rohan Jones out of Arkansas. Matt Lauder out of Boise State. Kamen Matea out of Arizona State, Lake McCree out of USC, Amari Niblack out of Texas A&M, Garrett Oakley out of Kansas State, Sam Rush out of Stanford, Bauer Sharp out of LSU, Sidor Traore out of Mississippi State, and Daquan Wright out of Ole Miss are some other names that I am intrigued to kind of pay attention to in this upcoming college football season. From that list, the one who intrigues me the most is Amari Niblack out of now Texas A&M, formerly of Texas. And formerly of Alabama. He's a guy that offers big-time athleticism and pass-catching chops. Obviously got to add to his frame, but he would be, of all the guys on the watch list, if someone was to make a mediocre rise, I think it could be Amari Niblack if he really finds his role there for Texas A&M. He'd be the guy I was probably watching closest on that overall watch list. Also, Luke Hayes out of Ole Miss. Those would be the two guys that I'm most intrigued with from the tight end watch list, but all intriguing names to kick off the upcoming college football season. So there it is, guys, my tight end rankings and scouting reports for the 2026 NFL draft. As of now, I love these summer scouting seminar series here just to kind of lay the foundation for next year's draft class and to see what kind of changes. I think there will be a lot of movement and changing in these rankings. If you're enjoying this content, get over to the website, ssfootball.com, fastest and easiest way to get there. If you want all our content from the 2025 NFL Draft Prospect, detailed scouting reports, the Draft Projections Notebook, which has so much stuff for guys that you're hearing about in training camp and preseason games in the second half, you can get that all still from the 2025 guys. If you're looking forward to the new wave of notebooks coming out, they will come out around Labor Day weekend. It'll have the 2026 scouting notebook, all these players I'm talking about on these podcasts, all the detailed scouting reports that will be updated in real time during the year and after the college football season. So many more prospects that added to it as the year goes on and the pre-draft months. You'll get the rankings notebook. You'll get which has all our different rankings. And then you'll get the Draft Projections notebook next April as well. So, on behalf of my sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us. And I look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.